Harena Resources is the rare earths company focused on the Ampasindava ionic clay rare earth project in Madagascar. It's raising circa £1.2 million through a placing. And to talk us through the announcement and other developments within the business, I'm delighted to be joined by the non-executive chairman, Ivan Murphy. So, Ivan, this is the first raise since the company listed. So why now to raise, and what will the funds be used for?
Thanks, Sarah. Well, firstly, good to meet you. Thanks for giving us the time to talk about our company, which we're very excited about. The RTO was a couple of months ago, and now we're funding up the company to get it ready to move forward. You know, it came through an RTO, so it's the kind of second stage of that restructuring. So now we're listed on the main market. We've reset our board, and now we've put some money into the company to take the next steps to bring the project forward. In relation to what we're going to use that money for, which I'm sure is what you're really asking, we're going to use that money to move forward with the submission of the pre-feasibility study, to work towards getting our mining license granted. At the moment, we're in the transformative license stage, so exploration, transformation, mining. And so we will use the money to advance that process, which is obviously a key process for any mining company. What we have here is a massive resource. We don't need to do any more exploring. So as I tell everybody, this is not exploration, and this is not mining in the blowing up sense. It's a different process. So no more exploration for us in any medium term horizon. We have a huge resource. Now to get that resource a mining license and move it towards production is the goal of what this money is for at the moment. We'll also want to spend some money raising awareness of the company. This is a global resource. We want to start to talk to partners already in the US and elsewhere to come alongside us as we move forward to bring the project into production. It also gave us the chance to bring in some institutions that were supportive of us in previous relationships to this project. And so, it was just a chance to do that as well. So no, we're super excited, well funded now to get to mining license, which is the next mega milestone for the project.
But I was going to talk to you about the placing and the mechanics, because why was it not made available to the public, as it were? What's the benefit of excluding some potential investors?
Yeah, well, I think the answer to that's sort of two things. First of all, we had an existing authority to place up to 80 million shares within the structure of the company being a main listed market company. This is not listed on AIM. So there's slightly different rules. Regulation, we don't have time to talk about that. That could be a separate interview, which I'd be happy to do. But obviously that does allow for certain proclivities or certain things around that. And, it's a small amount, and, we just wanted to place it quickly and efficiently with some key people. We were very particular about who we're having in here because we want people to be in here for the longer term. This is a small market cap, but a massive resource. So, we need to make a journey here in terms of our scale and valuation, and we want the right people around for that. And, we put in one or two institutions who'll have declarable stakes over the next couple of days, which will hit the wire. And I think that'll show why we did it that way.
In terms of longer term, you are very familiar with the project, having been a director of the previous owner of the Ampasindava project. So what is it about this project that just won't let you go? It's binding you.
Yes, exactly. There is no escaping me and this project. I think what it is, and I've been asked this a lot lately, obviously, and I think there's a couple of things around that. I was involved in the project in about 2010, 2011. I was chairman of that company at that time. I think we had issues at that time around a lack of understanding at that point. We all now understand what rare earths are, what they're for. Everybody's got an EV of some description, and we've all understood the huge security issues around supply in that area. The president of America is very, very open about that at the moment. So that wasn't the backdrop in 2010. It was hard to get people to really understand what was so important about this project and what was so critical about these types of minerals. So I think we were early, and I certainly got the bug of it at that point. I could see just how important this was going to be. This isn't like gold or diamonds. This is a very different thing. It's a very industrial, thing, and it's a real need for, resource security going forward. So I think that really got me into it, and I think more than any other project I've been involved in, which is just the truth. I've been to Madagascar. I've climbed down these pits with the miners, and with the excavation teams. I've taken this project to China, to Germany at that time, and met some big companies who were interested. So I've never been as involved probably in a project. I've been, normally I'm in the financing part, different areas of that. And so I think this one is really special in that respect. I have a very deep understanding of it. And I think the opportunity to come back and get another chance to work on this was huge for me, and we didn't have, for example, Alan Mulligan, our executive technical director. We didn't have somebody like that, who had that ionic clay experience. He's worked on the Ugandan project. We didn't have that then. And so we were kind of, we just weren't as well dressed for it, I think, at that time. So to get another chance to do it in a much, much different market environment for rare earth companies, and with somebody like Alan and the other people now that we can bring, and that experience we can bring, was really irresistible. And I was so excited to get the chance to do this again.
So you're growing up and sort of growing old with the project. But over that time, how pleased or otherwise are you about the progress that's being made at the asset?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the work that's, a significant part of the work that we're still using and is still of value, we did then. I think what's the intervening period has been, I think it's fair to say it's been a bit slow. It's just been a bit disappointing. I think there were corporate scenarios in the intervening period that just allowed the project not to get as quickly along as it might have been. So I think they would be the misgivings, but I think the big pluses are certainly the involvement of Alan, certainly the greater understanding of ionic clay, certainly the market demand going, exponentially higher. And I think this corporate structure now listed on the main market, which you could say we're a bit small for, but I think for where we're going, it's the right market for us, the main market. So I think that's another thing which I think is really good now this time round, and that they achieve that, which I think is really, really useful. So I think now we've the right corporate structure, the right ownership arrangements. We own 75% of the project at the moment, and that's great. And so I think all of that is just much tighter and much more ready now to move towards production than it was back in 2010, 2011.
And in terms of structure, I want to talk about the board composition and recent changes. Managing Director Joe Belladonna, he steered the company through its IPO listing, and he's now General Manager of Business Development, so he's still within the company. But some investors are asking, who is leading the company now and making the executive decisions? Is that you?
Yeah. Well, I think the answer is yes, it's me with the rest of the board. I think what we're doing at the moment is Joe did a great job in getting us up to the RTO and all that before I came along. Joe will stay with us to help us run the business. There's no question of that. Our executive technical director, Alan Mulligan, is obviously on the board, and myself and Paul Richards. So I think what our investors are getting is they're getting executives for non-executive prices. I mean, that's basically what they're getting, because we are, full-time involved in this project. It's not appropriate to have too many executives at this time. We want to get the right people for the next point. We're certainly equipped now to work with the government to move forward with our mining application and to secure that mining license. And I think just at that time, we'll definitely be adding some executives. There's no question about that. If maybe not a little before, but not quite yet. We just want to get a little further along with that process, so we have the right person and right people to bring into it at that time on the executive side, but we'll certainly be adding to the executive team before the end of the year.
Okay, understood. And I'm going to get you to repeat yourself slightly in summary, because what are you wanting to achieve before the end of 2025? Because time's marching on.
Yeah, we have very clear goals for what we're trying to achieve this year, and this is really what this money is going to help us do. We have a pre-feasibility study that's is effectively completed, which Alan's been working on for the last months. We'll get that submitted. There's, additional work we want to bring to that. Certainly Paul and I want to add our experience to that and our relationships to that. So that's the first thing. That is the precursor to the mining license application. Once we've started that process in earnest for the application on giving the feasibility study, we will probably look for some waivers. You are entitled to ask for some waivers to allow you to start doing a little bit of work, even while your mining license is being processed. So we're going to be working closely with the government to see if there's an opportunity for that because we want to get some of our, on-site work underway. And even with this amount of money, we can start to tidy up things there and just get a little more organized locally with the community, just get some re-engagement moving along. We'll also be setting ourselves with some specific targets in terms of how we market the company and where we bring this company to present at various mining events, and some specific ones in September in Australia, which the Madagascar government will be in attendance at, which we'll look to do in partnership with them, which is very exciting. So a lot of that sort of work will be done. We'll be appointing in the coming days Denton's solicitors, who have a sovereign practice, which is very specific about helping companies like ours manage their processes towards mining license application. Denton's have an incredible history in Madagascar of advising the government previously and on other projects. So, they're the sort of milestones, is by the end of the year to have the company repositioned, on a marketability basis with potential partners, especially in the US. You can't not pick up the paper at the moment to see the focus that they're making on this area of critical minerals and specifically rare earths. We have no reason to believe that we are not an attractive proposition for that. One of the things that's happening now, which we want to get very connected to, is you have huge investment in rare earth refining and rare earth projects. Now, that's great, but you're going to need stuff to put into those. And we have that stuff. So we want to make that very marketable and get some partners around that over the coming months. So I think we'll have a lot of news flow between now and Christmas. Lots of nice things to be updating the market with, and to be moving the project along towards that mining license and beyond.
And the market certainly likes nice things. Ivan Murphy of Harena Resources, thank you very much indeed for your time. Thank you.